feet of the chamber on them. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. We have an amazing show scheduled tonight. We are getting into bowl prep. We have signing day coming up in about a weekend, a little bit of change. Great cast of characters tonight. I can't wait to introduce you guys to these guys. I'm dying in the pre-show. But as always, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Like this content. As always, hit subscribe. Comment, what do we need to do to beat the Georgia Bulldogs on the 31st? It'll be a wild New Year's Eve, and this could be an epic deal for Ohio State. That being said, I'm not going to waste any time getting to these two characters. I have Bill the Bank Greene, and I have TJ the Payroll Advance Lounge Downing together. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. All good.
Shots fired already.
Shots are fired.
Get to it. You man, you better watch out down here.
Oh man, I hope you get your internet fixed. Bank, you started a little thread tonight. This was a really good one, talking about the mood of Ohio State, the fan base, Ryan Day, everything that's going on. Talk a little bit about that and what you wanted to get accomplished on Buckeye Scoop today. I thought it was a great thread. Just kind of talking about, this team could literally, we were talking in pre-show, this could be the greatest team that's ever played at Ohio State, or it could be a dud. But talk about the spectrum there.
Yeah, that's really weird. Like, I don't know that we've ever faced this type of thing. I've been on these message boards for over 20 years, and I don't remember a situation like this. Mainly because they've never lost to Michigan most of the time that I've been on the message boards. I was around for the Cooper years, the end of the Cooper years. And then, Tress came in and has beat Michigan every year. So this is really weird because, back-to-back losses to Michigan, blowout losses. Everybody's obviously upset. I get that. But I don't sense the excitement that, like, I thought you'd be pissed about losing to Michigan for about 2 or 3 days. And then once they got in, well, I thought that would be erased, but it's not at all. People are still really, really mad. And I think, I don't know. I really thought them getting in would erase that. But as I see now, it's going to take them beating Georgia and not even losing 31-30 where you blame the refs like typical Ohio State fashion. I mean, he has to win. He can't lose a heartbreaker. He has to win this game. And then he absolutely has to win the next game, to kind of rejuvenate things. If they get mocked by Georgia, I mean, these message boards are going to be brutal. And it's going to be a fever pitch when they roll into Michigan next year. So those were kind of my thoughts on where this is. I think Ryan Day is facing, a month here of something he's never faced before.
You think they're going to fire him?
No, I do not. Absolutely not.
If they get smoked 42, if they get beat 41-14 like Kirk did against the Gators.
Oh, you're right next to me, you little bitch.
Yeah. Library.
Yeah, you're right next to me at the fucking library. Yeah. Yeah.
No, they're not going to fire him, but that seat is going to get red hot. And then if he loses to Michigan next year, man, all bets are off. And that next year, man, no quarterback that has experience, an O-line that loses 2 tackles, and Kirk, you think the center is going to go?
Yep. And Matt Jones. There's 4 out of 5 gone.
Mike Jones. Is he better than Mike Jones from Iowa?
No.
My advice, to sum it all up, my advice to Ryan Day is he better win the next 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think Ryan Day's he's got to feel a little bit of heat, right? I mean,
definitely.
What happened in the second half of that football game should have never happened. Now, does that go more on Jim Knowles or is that Coach K?
Well, when you're the head coach, everything goes on you. I mean, it all rides on you. But Jim Knowles was awful, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. Have you ever seen a team give up 5 touchdowns in a game, all of them over 50 yards? I mean, Ohio State doesn't do that when they play Kent State. They don't have 5 touchdowns over 50 yards. They blow them out. But it's hard to get 5 touchdowns over 50 yards in a season. I mean, that's hard. I'd love to go back and see how many touchdowns Michigan had this year, their whole year, over 50 yards. I bet it wasn't 5.
Wow. Yeah, okay. That should put some heat on it. I saw Coach Knowles up in the press box there. He was up watching the young fellow from Arvell Reese from Cleveland Glenville. He was up there watching him at the state championship game, and you
Yeah.
could just see in his face. You could see that that moment almost kind of humbled him a little bit. He's been humbled by what happened with the Michigan Wolverines. Because, like you said, it's one thing. Like, you don't even see that against Bowling Green or Kent State or Ball State. Like, to have your rival, to have the Michigan Wolverines do it. Oof.
You know, I like watching the press conferences after the games. Like, I have to do a write-up every week on every game, and I like watching the press conferences, even in the blowouts or whatever. You kind of can glean some things that, no one watching this is going to think it was great. But in the press conference, Donovan Edwards, someone asked him, they said, on the long run, when it opened up like that, what were you thinking? And he said, which one? And he was kind of laughing and chuckling, and it was like, wow. That was the capture for me. It was like, boom, drop the mic, game over, press conference over. Which one? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. He beat him up. You didn't give him the both, like BOF, both, like all of them. Like, that's staggering to think about, and to think that he was number 2 coming into that ball game.
Yeah.
He's the second least guy that you're worried about going out of the backfield.
Yeah. So and like you say, there's a chance that they rematch here in a month.
Yeah.
There's a chance. Not good chance, but
that almost feel unnatural to you? Like is this even supposed to happen? It's almost like cousins like throwing down to West Virginia or something and having a baby. Like, it shouldn't happen, right?
It's insane.
Like, they're gonna play the second time and there's gonna be like a third head that grows out of somebody's like shoulder pad.
I mean, OSU's got to beat Georgia first, and I mean that is not.
Right.
I told Kirk,
upsetting Michigan with doing the Dougie down there. They're gonna do the Dougie on Michigan. Can they pull that upset?
They might. They're going to get 30, I think, in that game, and Michigan's got to get their 30. I mean,
you think they put up 30 on Michigan's defense?
I think with that offense, the way they throw the ball, I think they might. I mean, I like Duggan a lot. I love their offense. I love their coaching. I don't think it's going to be
odds in that ball game. If TCU scores plus 30, I think the odds are in favor of TCU winning that ball game, because I see Harbaugh. Jimmy's going to do something to screw it up.
Well, because the key for TCU is not falling behind. TCU cannot fall behind, and then Michigan's going to run the ball, control the clock. TCU has to sting them, and I think Ohio State has to do the same thing. Yeah. That's where you set the tone. Like, they go back to the Ohio State Clemson game of 2020. Right, Kirk? When they blew out Clemson.
Yeah, we played Bama the next week with the 4-4 defense.
I mean, yeah, let's not go there. But I mean, they really stung Clemson that night. And Clemson had their number, and Dabo kind of talked some crap when we beat Urban 31-0. And Clemson had beat him the year before when, OSU blamed the refs, which is ridiculous. But then Ohio State stung them that night. I mean, they just bonked them right off the bat, and Clemson was in a defensive position trying to play catch-up all night long. That's what TCU has to do to Michigan, I think. I think they have to.
You think they got to do like some like Boise State Statue of Liberty type stuff? Like, pull out plays and all that?
I mean, why not? Why not? Do what you do. Do what you do best. I mean, Duggan is the key, man. Duggan's the key. He can sling it.
What all the boys say nowadays? The main thing's got to say the main thing.
No doubt, man. I think people are underrating TCU, man. I mean, they're used to winning.
I like that. I've always liked, since the thing that sucked back when we were in BCS was, you felt like at years that TCU and Boise State could have legit earned a shot back then. Like they could have fallen into a fourth slot,
Yeah,
but is it going to be the Cincinnati effect? Are you going to get smoked once you get there? Now, I think TCU and Boise State, I think they play a little bit tougher competition than
yeah,
Cincinnati does. I mean, they don't see anything in conference until they would see a Memphis or something like that in a championship. But
right. Plus, they don't have to play. Like last year, you got Michigan and Cincinnati got in, and they had to play Bama and Georgia. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
good
good
luck.
luck. Those are great teams. Like those teams were great teams last year. I don't think this year's Georgia is last year's Georgia. I don't think they are.
God no.
But those two, like to say, to get in last year to play Alabama, for Cincinnati and Michigan got to play Georgia, and those games were just total, dog walks. They were no chance. But this year, I don't feel that way. Plus, there's only one SEC team in there. Bama was the 5. Who wants to play Bama right now? Like nobody. You don't want them in there.
Would you rather Stetson Bennett from last year or Stetson Bennett from this year? Are you saying is it more of the defense that
He's
lacks?
better this year.
Oh.
He's definitely better this year. But man, that defense last year, those guys were freaking monsters, man. They were monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, 11 of them, or maybe 15 of them. I mean, they just come at you in waves. Bama stung them in that one game. Again, that's the way the underdog has to beat the power. You sting them early, put them on their heels, but then a championship game, Kirby's boys, they adjusted, and it was like, you're not scoring on us tonight. You will not.
Visor. There's something about this, something special about that visor.
Yeah.
And J-Mo blowing his ACL homes too. I mean, you lose your best player on offense. It's like, we lost 10 in 06, and I'm not saying that he would help us beat Florida, but he was our best player. He got drafted like 7th overall, and he blew his ankle out on the first play of the game. So it's like you lose your top tier guy. It's like if we lost CJ Stroud on the first play of the game against Georgia, like the odds are, the live betting is probably going to go crazy towards Georgia if you got to bring Kyle McCord in. So it's the same difference. Bank, how long have you known TJ? I mean, you told me a great story about at Logan's Sporting Goods, and I remember that because San Antonio Holmes slept on my couch the night before that in Canton, in Massillon.
Logan Sports in North Canton every year held an autograph signing. He would bring Andy Logan would bring Buckeyes in. You guys were there to sign autographs, and I made
He hit me up to get him for him.
I made
Undercover NIL, Bill. Undercover NIL.
I know all about it. I picked Beanie Wells up and brought him to that thing. We don't need to talk about that either. And Jim Bowman had 7 cows about the media picking up. Anyway, we don't need to go there. But anyway, you guys are both parents. Or TJ, you don't have kids, do you?
I have a 5-year-old daughter.
Okay, both parents. You look back someday when you get older on mistakes you've made as a parent. We all make them. Here I am at the Logan autograph session. I bring my 16-year-old daughter who loved Ohio State to get autographs from you guys. That was potential for disaster there. All worked out. I got away with it. Boy, that was a huge mistake on my. What a laugh.
Dream squad. Oh, those were good times. Those were really good outings. And, Andy would always just lean on me as a guy that, I knew him through playing in the Federal League, playing against North Carolina, and he was coaching on those teams. And he'd be like, listen, man, this is for the foundation. And that's really when they started up the Logan Family Foundation, I believe was right around 2004. And they've grown that thing to give back over $1 million now, which is, we take a lot of pride in knowing that we probably put on at least 8 to 10 of those shows before I think it was somewhere after Steve Snap had died or one of the coaching changes after Tress left. Urban said, nah, we're shutting that down. We're not sending players up. But then he got tight with Jeff Logan, and it was just the whole autograph market at that point became so weird and taboo because Johnny Manziel's he's in a hotel stacked up in there just signing them, and there's fakes and there's this and there's that.
I got to tell you, who was the guy that hired Terrell to sign autographs for him, and they split him 50-50? That's why Terrell Pryor could never throw the football. He signed so many autographs, he had carpet on his wrist. He couldn't. That's why he couldn't throw, man.
That's how he threw. He was like,
How many times would you sign your name for me if I gave you $20 every time you did it?
Oh, fuck! I don't have anything left.
The cows come home. Terrell's problem was you can't go to the bank and try and cash a $10,000 check when Mama just claimed 18 G's on your IRS. Like,
yeah, TP, man, TP. He he's if you are an autograph collector in Columbus and you don't have a Terrell Pryor autograph, you aren't trying.
Oh, it's like the Storm Klein hit pad. the autographed Storm Klein, like the snow boots or whatever people were selling. I was like, oh my god, who's ever gonna buy that?
They said when they raided that bum's house that did 8 years and tried to throw me under the bus in Sports Illustrated, old boy Eddie Wright from down there at the tattoo shop. They said when he raided his house, the district attorney told me it looked like an Ohio State museum in there. They said they had TP's gloves, they had the shoes, they had knee braces on a mannequin, they had pads.
Don Jordan.
Fully equipped in there. He's like, they didn't know whether to put a red dot on it, like it was somebody in there that had him to shoot it. They had dressed in Ohio State gear.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Well, we don't need to mention names, and you guys might not know, but there was a guy on the Ohio State team that was kind of borrowing things out of the locker room and then taking them and selling them. I'm not going to mention names. I'm going to get sued.
Think about it, Bill. For us, when Kirk and I and the starting guys were in defense, you had a group of redshirt freshmen who you didn't know half these dudes, and they came from different areas, and you just don't know people's personalities. They would have free reign of the locker room. So if you didn't put your stuff in the wall locker, hey, at the end of the day, put your stuff in the wall locker that's valuable. If you left something in your jeans pockets, there was cats that would go through there. I mean, there were cell phones that would turn up missing, rings, necklaces. You know, don't leave any cash in your pocket, bro. That's gone. You know, and that's the sad thing was that Tress, and we always had conversations about this was, you know, this could be not to say that it was Kirk, but you know, because he robbed me blind just by living for me. He ate all my food, utilities, and we won't even go there. But what I'm saying is, Tress is like, you know, I'm like, dude, this could be somebody that's lining up next to me. This could be a dude that I'm looking at his locker right across from me. It could be the same dude that just jacked me for my cell phone, which is like, that's screwed up, you know, and it bothers you.
And I don't think people realize that your locker has no door on it. People don't realize. It's not like at Perry High School or Glen Oak where you bring your own little padlock. Your lockers are wide open. Now you can lock your valuables up, like you say.
Hey, you know the best jokes we used to pull off in there was remember they had the part up top that would open up.
Yeah,
guys would fill up the rubber gloves. They would blow them up, fill them with baby powder, and you would tie it off and put like a little tack so somebody would pull their wall locker up and go poof all over the place. It would just be they were called powder bombs.
Dude, nobody ever messed with me because I never had anything in my wallet. I didn't trust nobody. So I was a smart one.
Oh, wait, you didn't trust me?
Hell no. Are you crazy? Look at you.
Yeah, right.
You can look at that national championship jersey you got on behind you. That shit ain't even got no fucking dirt on it. You didn't even fucking do shit. You didn't break a sweat that game? Or was that Dexter Laramore's jersey?
Yeah. I did McDonald that you and Alex did against Harvey. I know that.
Oh God.
Doug couldn't even get a back. He couldn't even get a back block on a counter, and Tress is going for it on his own 35 on 4th and 1. Like, what's up, Tress? I thought the punt was the most important play, and then I'm over here screaming, "Let's go for it!"
We fuck up the backside cutoff on that. We had that too, because me and you killed the fucking 3 technique. We don't do that. We don't run power anymore.
Defensive end scraped off the backside and made the tackle on Beanie at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it was Ray McDonald. He was playing D end. I'll never forget that play. It was like, I mean, because we had it. We needed an inch. Bank. All right. So, did you evaluate TJ? Were you in the game in 2002? And was he the 3-star special? I mean, I know I was a 2-star special, but was he the 3-star special in 02?
TJ was a 3. Yeah, You were a 2.
I was a
And
-5.
You were only a 2-star for one reason, and that's because I pounded the table to not have you be a 1-star. Yeah. TJ was a 3. TJ was a 3.
Wait, I
Did
was,
you?
I was a solid 3.
You were
Yeah,
a 3.
dude. There's no way in hell you're a 4-star.
Like a star and a half, so I'll take that.
Kirk was a 2-star, and then I think when he committed to Ohio State, like
I got the Buckeye bump to 3.
I bumped because they didn't want to have like a 2-star commitment.
You got the bank bump, baby.
I fought against it, but I lost. I wanted to keep a 2-star.
How did you rank Rob Sims, Nick Mangold, Doug Dadish, and TJ Downing, the fearsome foursome of
I think
2002?
TJ is the 4 guy out of that.
You had him as you had him the old cleanup hitter in Ohio, huh?
Yeah, but that would have been Dwayne Long. You know, he kind of took I just really did the Stark County guys then until I actually went to scout. I think I was with Dwayne Long then when you guys were coming out.
Yeah, there was like you, Dwayne, you had Bill Korellic, he did his deal, right?
My first crew at scout.com, I think you weren't in Heartline's class.
No, I was 3 years ahead of him. He was a freshman, I was a senior.
Yeah, Hardline, I think, was the first class I actually evaluated myself. And I had him ranked really high when nobody else did. And I had him as a future NFL guy, starter, all the way. I really had Brian ranked really high. I was really, really liked him. I thought he became what I thought he was going to become. You get one right, like my dad said, even a broken clock's right twice a day.
There had to be one good player come out of Glen Oak other than Costa Kufas and CJ McCollum. So thank God for Brian.
CJ makes the money.
Well,
wealthy man today.
With TJ, so you had him as 4 out of 4. What if you throw Derek Morris into the mix? Is he still 4 out of 5 then, or is he 5 out of 5?
Derek Morris would have been the highest rated guy of that crew. Hey, Coleman and Trust. Hey, wait a minute. They spent more on Derek Morris than they spent on the other 4 illegally.
Yeah, exactly. Bulls had to buy him a Lexus.
They didn't have to cheat.
He said he wanted a white Lexus to go to cruise around Columbus.
Yeah, they didn't have to cheat to get TJ. They had to cheat to get Derek Morris. And that's not internet rumor bullcrap. Go read the story from the Dispatch. They'll tell you what they did on that one.
Bill, I want to tell you a story real quick.
They did cheat to get you?
No, I want to tell you a story.
No.
I want to tell you a story. I had to do my own cheating. Hey, I'm from the streets of Canton, Bill. We got to do our own dirt out here, okay?
We can do our dope. Jesus.
But I'm going to tell you a story, and this is a story about the tortoise and the hare, okay? Have you ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare?
I have.
You know, the hare, he starts out there pretty fast, right? Looks all attractive, looks like Derek Morris, looks like Nick Mangold, looks like Rob Sims, and probably even runs like Doug Dadish. If you would have put all of us in a race, Doug Dadish was probably the best athlete. But let me tell you the story about the tortoise and the hare, because old number 7 Deuce, 72, was just kind of hanging out in the background, right? And before it's all said and done, 5 years later, in 2006, out of all those guys, who do you think walked away college with the highest accolades? That was your boy 72 right here, who is second team AP All-American. And out of those 5 guys, none of them reached a rank higher in the country than second team AP All-American. Nick was an honorable mention. Nick was number 2, I believe, behind Greg Esslinger from Minnesota. So, I should have been first team All-American because the 2 guys in front of me, one being from Boston College, a guy by the name of Josh Beekman, and a guy by Justin Blaylock from Texas, who, if I remember correctly, a year after that, we went into his house and we beat their ass down in Austin. So I should have been first team All-American. I was the best guard in college football in 2006. Fight me.
Well, I had you ranked higher in Kirk, so I got that one.
Oh my God! You guys had Matt Maisel, Ty Hall. You guys had a bunch of guys that couldn't play dead in a Western ranked higher than me. It was great. It was like I showed up. TJ couldn't stop a bull rush, so they had to put me in instead of him with Bulls. I was hoping TJ would beat out Tim Schafer so I could beat TJ out directly, but instead I had to do it indirectly. So it was like in 04 we played. So All right, Beck, have you ever heard the story about the '04 game when we played all those monsters from Wisconsin that whipped our ass in '07? Erasmus James and Antosh Hawthorne, the guys that beat our ass up at Camp Randall. So we had to
Is
play
that-
those. We had to play those guys.
Is that the game where somebody cheap shotted you and then TJ went and murdered the guy?
No,
That was
TJ was watching. Yeah, that was Iowa. That was Iowa after I already had 20 more starts on TJ. But that '04 game, I was like, TJ, man, you got to give me the orange Gatorade because man, it's hard out here playing. So you got to give me that good Gatorade. And TJ, he mixed the shit out of that Gatorade. It was perfect. Appreciate you. And then he went to Jim Bowman. This is the greatest thing ever. And when I give TJ's eulogy in probably like less than 5 years, I'm just kidding. But when I give the eulogy and they say, what did Jim Bowman say to TJ when they were getting ready to play the Wisconsin Badgers and their big ass defensive tackle? And you wanted to ask, Coach, why didn't I play? What did Jim Bowman say to you?
So you can't stop the bull rush.
That's the greatest line ever.
I asked him after the game. I said the next day because at that point, everybody on the team knew that I should have been starting in some capacity. I mean, I was a better player. By the time we started starting me, we started winning. You can go back and look in history. And after we started the rebuilding year, after the '03 guys graduated, Will Smith, Chris Campbell, all those cats are gone. We're rebuilding, and the winning started when TJ Downing entered the lineup on offense. When they put that mix in there against Purdue, we should have won. If they would have started me against Purdue, we would have won. They started me in the second half, and we had like a 21-point comeback. And then they put Kyle Orton in, and he drove the field on the final possession of the game to beat us. But I had a reverse where Teddy Ginn ran for like 78 yards off my block, was lighting these guys up, Bill. So I told Bowles, I said, I had steadily started getting more playing time throughout the year. Once we get to Wisconsin, I don't play a snap. And so I asked him the next day afterwards, I said, what's up, Coach? I didn't even get a series in the game. What's up? He's like, I didn't think you could stop the bull rush. And guess what? And just looked me dead in the eyes, said that. And you know how he said it, Bill, because you know Bowles. He said, I said, why didn't you let me play against Wisconsin? I said, I've been working, deserve some reps. You've been playing me every other game. So, TJ, I didn't think you could stop the bull rush. And just walked away. And I just sat there like I was just.
Oh, well.
I wish you had never told me that one. Oh my God. Bag, were you ever around Bowles at all when you were evaluating guys at camp? Like, did you ever because I know you go down to camp and you see these guys kind of meandering around.
It was so different under Tress. I mean, right about that time was when the coaches started to talk to guys like me because they finally realized how we could help them. You know what I mean? Like, these coaches can only call kids during certain times. I can call that kid 20 times a day if I want to. All you got to do is, finally, Luke was the one I got to know first. And Luke, I think, was the one that went to Tress and said, these guys can help us. You know what I mean? And Luke would ask me, like, hey, do you know, little Freddie or something? I'm like, yeah, I talk to him all the time. I know his dad and everybody. He's like, I can't get in touch with him. I'm not allowed to really call him now. I can't text him. It's like, Coach, I'll have him call you. What time do you want him to call? What time do you want him to call you? 7 o'clock. Okay, fine. And because we were already doing that with the Kentucky coaches, the Michigan State coaches, the Purdue coaches, the Indiana coaches, and finally, I think Tress and those guys realized, like, wow, these guys can help us.
That's when it really started. Those are supposed to be dead periods, man. Hey, say that into the microphone for the NCAA, man. Bill Greene was the inside source for the greatest recruits in Ohio State history during the dead period when you can't talk to them.
Yeah, see, the thing was, they always told us at scout.com, there's no problem in doing that to develop a rapport with these coaches, because if I'm helping you, you got to help me. Okay, I'm not helping you as a fan. I don't want your autograph. You know what I mean? I want you to tell me when I ask you, are you recruiting TJ Downing or not? I want an honest answer so I can write, hey, they're going after TJ Downing. But all the other schools, and at scout.com, they told us there's no harm in dealing with coaches like that, but do not be a one school guy. And I took that to heart, and I never have been. Even though I've covered Ohio State, I was never that guy. And there are those guys out there, and there always have been. I was never one of them. I mean, I deal with every college coach, every school. I wanted my kids that I covered to have every single option they could have. And so and I've always done that.
Hey
I mean,
Bill, you were one of the good guys, man. We looked at you as one of the good guys. So, and you're right. But you know what you should have done? You screwed up. You should have developed a rapport with me, and I could have told you about Kirk Barton and Kurt Lucan's recruiting trip. The famed Ohio State recruiting trip of Pukins, Lukens, and Kirk Barton.
I didn't go to school for 4 days after my official visit. I took the whole week off after that.
I saved Kurt Lucan's life. Kurt Lukens would have died that night if it wasn't for me.
No, he absolutely would have died that night. I mean, I was like, man, this kid's about to die. He's 205 pounds trying to hang out with RJ Coleman and TJ, and you were like probably 90, and I was like 260, and RJ was 2 whatever.
Did you think Kirk could play? Because I did. I thought he could play.
Yeah, I knew he could, and I vouched for him too because Bowles and Tress asked me after the visit too. They were like, "Do you think we should offer this kid?" And you know what? I said, "Yeah." I could have easily said no, and they probably would have listened to me because he was such a 1.5 star coming out of the wing T offense. He had no size.
He asked about Kurt. Kurt was already committed.
He wasn't even honorable mention All Federal League, and he's in the
Stark
County
first team All Federal League, and I was in the Stark County All Federal before you were.
Bill, when you come out of school,
TJ, I'm talking about Kurt Lukens. Did you think Kurt Lukens?
I thought you said Kirk. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I did hear you say Kirk, but I just was talking about Kirk for a second.
No, heck with Kirk. I thought Lukens could play.
I for sure thought Lukens, when I was in high school, he could play, but at that time I knew it wasn't going to be at linebacker because he was a good linebacker in the Federal League, but he shredded his arms making those tackles.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget, he asked me to come over to his house. He's in line to start because Dante had graduated and Aunt Sally was gone. And so Kurt Lukens is getting ready to start spring ball as the starting free safety. And he's like, TJ, you got to come over here and tell me what to do. I was like, what's up? He goes, watch this. He turned the door handle and his whole shoulder fell out of the socket. And he goes, what do I do? I was like, dude, you got to tell Tress, you're going to go out there the first play and hit somebody. It's just going to fall out. You're going to be done anyways. He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm about to start, though. I'm like, dude, you're not going to play, dude. You can't play with a shoulder like that. So he never played another down of college football again. And I felt terrible for him about it. Another funny story. I don't know if you covered Ronnie Berkwin when he was coming out and all from Canton South.
I did. Yeah,
Tress knew that I kicked it with Ronnie Berkwin a lot on campus. We used to hang out a lot. And Tress was like, hey, listen, we're a little skinny at safety. He's like, I know Ronnie's your buddy. Will you ask him if he wants to come out and walk onto the football team? He goes, we'll guarantee him that he'll at least be in the 2 deep to start spring ball. Wow. And so I was out one night with Ronnie late. We had been having a couple to cocktails, some pitchers, and I'm like, hey man, you want to come out and play football? And he looked at me. He was like, he just started laughing. He was like, you know what? He goes, I would love to. He's like, but next year I'm going to be Big Ten Baseball Player of the Year. He's like, hell no. So, but for Kurt, it was like, to me, if Kurt would have started out playing safety in high school, which Don Hertler had no choice but to play him at middle linebacker because he was just all Ohio middle linebacker in the Federal League. But Kurt was a really good safety. He had instincts. He could run like a deer. He had great hands. He was a phenomenal athlete. He had a nose for the ball type football player. Kurt Lukens for sure could have started a year or two at Ohio State at free safety.
Yeah, I liked him a lot in high school. I thought he was going to start at Ohio State at some point in his career. I didn't know that about the shoulder. I knew he'd had nagging injuries. I didn't know they were devastating injuries. Like
you said, Bill, I think a lot of that started back early when he was playing at North Canton. Those were great football teams. Yeah. They played big talent. They had to go against. I mean, think about that. He's doing that against McKinley, Glen Oak, Jackson, Perry, doing it against the wing T. And his shoulder was just getting beat up, just taking on dudes like Kirk, me, Zach Slates, Jay Rohr. That was probably the most devastating to me, physically punishing, devastating athlete skill-wise that the Federal League may have ever been, was in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys remember a kid that played for Canton McKinley? He would have come after you. Remember DC Alexander played for Canton. Yeah. You remember DC?
Beast.
One of the greatest high school football players I'd ever seen. Literally. Yeah. Now he played at McKinley as a sophomore and was really good. He was with Morgan Williams and that crew. Those guys were really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he plays as a sophomore, then he gets in some trouble, and I mean trouble, big time.
Yeah, DC and the boys are wild, but we've had some times. They're good people. He was a ball player.
So he goes away for his junior year. He has to go. He's not in McKinley anymore. I don't know where he went.
He's over at Indian River on the wrestling team, Kirk.
I don't think he even got to go there. I think it was a higher plane. So anyway, before his senior year, I'm out there, and I'm covering McKinley and talking to Brian Cross. He was their coach and then I see DC's back. He's put on about 25 pounds of muscle. He's got a beard that looks like a Brillo pad. And I asked Brian Cross, I said, "Hey, DC's back, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's back. He's fully qualified. He's eligible. He was playing." And I said, "Well, how's he doing?" And Brian goes, I don't know if you knew Brian Cross. Brian was great. Yeah. And Brian says, "Well, he didn't come back kinder and sweeter."
He came back institutionalized.
Wow. So anyway, they're playing Massillon in Fawcett, week 10. Massillon's got Andrew Daly, Brian Gamble. They got dudes, Yeah. So McKinley kicks off to Massillon. Massillon runs it back. They spot the ball, and here goes the McKinley defense. They run on the field, and all of a sudden, I see the referees are pushing a guy from McKinley back on his side of the ball. Massillon's in their huddle back, 10 yards, and there's a player across the ball just going berserk, and it was DC. And I thought, what in God's name is he doing, Well, they run the series, and he comes off the field, and I asked one of their DBs from McKinley, I can't remember which one, I said, "What the heck is DC doing out there?" I was down on the sidelines, and he said, "Man, he went nuts. He doesn't know any of the kids from Massillon. Like, he don't care, He just knew numbers."
Yo. You there?
We're done?
Well, we're live now, but you were killing it. Hang on, let me see if I can get TJ, and we'll go for about 10 more minutes and we'll quit it. But so what happened to that kid? Did he ever come back?
No, he couldn't qualify anywhere, and I don't know what happened. How far did I get in my story before?
You got like right to the end. You're talking about Trust wanting it, and then right when you talked about, so what happened with Trust? Did like you said you couldn't get him in for a night visit?
He said, "I want to bring him in for a visit." Brian Cross said, "Man, you can't get him in for a midnight visit." He said,
Damn,
it ain't gonna happen for him. Yeah.
Is he the biggest example of the kid that like just like had it but didn't make it? Like Antoine Height, like one of those.
He was 100 times better than Antoine Height.
Better than like Eric Howard.
Better. I mean, DC, he was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know where he would have fit in position-wise, though. He was like 6'1", 200, but he couldn't play safety. You'd have to figure out. And I don't know if he could learn a scheme. I don't know. He was just a freelance and wild man.
Yeah.
But if you could have harnessed it, and you talk about raw, I mean, he was just totally raw. I don't know if he even played a position. You know what I mean? He just, man, you just put him out there and told him to go get the ball and just kill anyone in your way.
Would you like, in your like dream scenario, would you put him like where Tanner McAllister is and put him at like the hybrid guy that's kind of down low in the bottom?